if we involve children more in rescue and show them the proper way to be around animals, maybe one day, not in the near future, but down the road, we won't have to have such a need for rescue as we do now.
Hi, y'all. Welcome to Buddies Besties. I'm Layla. I'm your host today, and today I'm here with a very special guest, Jen Lewis, who is the owner of Marley's Friends Rescue. It's very special, near and dear to my heart. You were actually the first person I called when we decided to do this show. I really wanted to talk to you because I have a bonded pair that I'm obsessed with that came from your rescue. And I'm going to tell the folks a little bit about how we met, about why we met, and then I really want to just talk about why you started the rescue and all the work that you do there, because you are doing God's work. I believe that. I believe people that do rescue work are doing God's work, but many of you have heard me talk about Hermes. He was my soul kitty. If you're not familiar with that term, that is, if you are a cat person or a dog person, there's always an animal in your life that is your match, right? It is your, I want to say your person, but it is your soul kitty, soul puppy. And Hermes was that for me. I had Hermes for 21 years. And a few years before he passed, he got kidney disease. And so I learned a lot through that process. And I had tons and tons of meds and special foods and all these things that you collect when you have a sick baby. And you know how expensive it is to treat those things. And so when he passed, I had recently moved to Dallas. And I didn't really have the network that I had back where I had moved from. And so I started doing research to try and give some of this stuff away because I didn't want to throw it away. And I reached out to the local community shelter and all those places, and nobody really wanted this really expensive medication and things. And somebody on a Nextdoor app to me said, "Oh, you should check out Jen over at Marley's house because she has so many animals and she takes in all kinds of animals, and especially animals that maybe don't have hope of getting anywhere else because they're sick or because they have issues that people don't want to deal with." And so I got on your website and I saw this really, really sweet pair on your website, but I scrolled really fast because I wasn't ready for a new one, but I wanted your information because I wanted to get you the product. And you were like, "I'll take it all. I'll take everything you have." And you did. And I was really happy about it. And I did ask at that point, "Oh, this pair is really cute. They look like Hermes." And you said, "Oh yeah, I've had them for a little bit and they're up for adoption." And we didn't really talk anymore about that. And probably 5 or 6 weeks after he had passed, my husband said, "It's time for you to get a new cat because you need a new cat.
Yeah.
You have to have
We all
them."
have to have our cats.
That's right. And so I text you and said, "Hey Jen, I don't know if you remember me, but I'm wondering, I know they were so cute, they're probably already gone, but I'm wondering if that pair is still around." And you said to me, "I haven't really been marketing them very much, and they're not really up on the website because I kind of thought that you might call me back for them."
Yeah. And they had to have the perfect home. I wasn't going to just let, anybody.
I think that is, to me, that is so amazing that they were meant to be mine. And let me tell you something. They are meant to be mine. They are the sweetest babies ever. They are a bonded pair. So if people don't know what a bonded pair is, can you tell folks what that is?
It's just a pair that basically they can't be without the other. They get sick without the other, or they're lonely without the other, and the lonesome makes them sick sometimes. And they cry and they get depressed if they're not with the other one.
They're very codependent.
Right.
I'm going to tell you that right now. They can't really be apart. So I did adopt them. They've been with me for 2 years. You and I have really, I know. Well, actually they're 2 years old. They've been with me a little over a year. They are so cute. And I can't imagine my life without them. And so that's the reason why you were the first call. That story is really a lot of the reason how we started Buddy, because I just felt like there needed to be a place for people that loved pets as much as I do, as much as you do, and as much as a lot of people do, to be able to learn more and be entertained, but be educated and have it be, safe content for kids to watch.
Right.
Because do you want to talk about Marley's Friends, the name?
Yeah. I started it. I came up with the name after my daughter, Marley. She was 10 months old
Okay.
when I decided I was going to start my own rescue. And I think that if we involve children more in rescue and show them the proper way to be around animals and to treat animals and to engage with animals, maybe one day, not in the near future, but down the road, we won't have to have such a need for rescue as we do now. If we can teach children young how to safely and responsibly interact and treat animals.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you.
She's my kid tester.
Yeah. So your animals, your rescue, they're in your home.
A lot of them, yes. We're all foster based. We've got some in other foster homes, but a lot of them end up at my house.
Yeah, I think I asked you at one point how many cats you had, and you told me how many do you have now? How many are in your house now?
In my house?
Yeah.
20-something-ish.
20-something-ish, okay.
You have a pen and paper, I can tell you exactly how many.
I promised my husband I would not take any more cats because I did take one yesterday. We had a rescue here, and they brought a 5-week-old kitten.
Aww.
And they named him Buddy. There was no way I was not going to take him. Like, that was like the cincher, right? So I just think that's such a cool, you have so many, and you have dogs too.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess let's talk a little bit about, for you worked at a rescue prior. So why did you start your own rescue?
Well, I grew up in the country, so I always had a passion for rescue. We grew up out, people dumped animals out there all the time. So I was always rescuing animals. I've always been passionate about animals. When I was towards the end of my pregnancy, I started getting more involved in rescues locally to kind of, pass the time while I was sitting at home waiting for this one. And I got involved with one rescue and started volunteering and doing a whole lot for her. And things just weren't done the way that I felt that they should be.
Yeah.
I didn't think that dogs were they weren't doing enough to make sure that they were going to the right homes and they weren't getting the appropriate vetting. And it wasn't the way that I felt that it needed to be done. And I was like, you know what? I'm doing all this already. I could do it the way that I feel it needs to be done and the way that I feel is right.
Yeah.
On my own. So that's what I did.
And that was how many years ago?
2019.
Okay.
End of 2019.
So interesting. I had this question. We were talking about it yesterday. I was really nervous. So you started right before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so during COVID, everyone got an animal. Everyone got dogs.
End of 2018, I'm sorry.
2018. Okay. But so you had a little bit of time before COVID, but then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And lots of people got animals. And, one of the things I heard yesterday from one of the ladies from Dallas, Cat Lady, was that people get these animals when they're little, they're really cute, and then when they're not cute anymore, I can't even imagine what a not cute cat or a not cute dog look like. But when they're not cute anymore, that's when they get dumped.
Yep.
And so I was nervous with COVID. Like, did that impact, do you see more rescue now? Do you think people did that where they got pets during COVID? And
COVID, so it was already bad before COVID. During COVID, a lot of people were like, oh, well, I'm stuck at home bored, so let me go adopt an animal because I'm at home all the time now. We saw an influx of applications, and a lot of them, anytime someone was like, oh, well, it's COVID, I'm bored at home, blah, 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 I want a dog. That's not a reason to get a dog. You're not getting a dog from me because in another year, that dog's going to be back here.
You actually told people no when they put that on. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we make a promise to these animals when we rescue them for their entire life. If for any reason somebody adopts an animal and they can't keep them, we always promise to take them back.
Okay.
And if I allow people that are just getting animals because they're bored to adopt, then what happens when everybody goes back to work?
Yeah.
They all dump their pets back or they end up at the shelter. And that's exactly what happened. After the COVID ban was lifted, people started dumping their dogs at the shelters, returning them back to rescues because, all of a sudden I go to work, the dog can't be at home without me.
So you saw a spike after COVID. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and then when people actually had to start paying rent again because nobody had to pay rent for so long,
Oh, okay.
So when they had to start paying rent again, everybody jacked their rent up. So then people were having to move out of their house and move with their family. So they couldn't keep their pets because of that as well.
Okay.
So the shelters are just crazy.
Yeah.
Rescues. I mean, I could not tell you how many emails I get every day from people wanting to surrender their pet.
Wow. That was what we heard yesterday too, that they're just getting, their emails are full.
Yep.
So when you get a pet back, what does that look like?
I mean, it's sad. It's because they've had a home for however long.
Right.
And then a lot of times we don't have open fosters when they come back. So the only thing we can do is put them in paid boarding until we can find a foster or another home for them. So they go from a home and a family to a kennel.
Right.
Which still the boarding facility that we use, she's amazing. She socializes the dogs. They get to play with other dogs, treats, beds, all that stuff. But it's still not equivalent to being in a home.
Right.
And when they lose their family and go to that, I mean,
it's hard. Yeah. So your whole goal was, we've talked about this a little bit, you and I, you go out of your way for every animal. And like, I'm all getting choked up thinking about Lenny. So Lenny was a dog that you talked about a lot. I know I don't want to make either of us cry, but this dog was really sick and you had him at the vet. You did fundraisers. You, like, even though he was in that situation, you still chose to take care of him for as long as he wanted to live. And I think it's so amazing that you do that, and you do that a lot. And so one of the reasons why I want to talk to you, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. One of the reasons I wanted to talk to you is to really talk about, because we had a long conversation about, you know, a kill versus a no kill.
right.
You are truly a no kill. What kind of questions should people ask shelters and things when they're, because a lot of people want to say, oh, I'm a no kill. But what does that actually mean?
Well, in the state of Texas, they only have to have a 90% live release rate to be able to call themselves no kill, which means 10% of the animals that they kill, they can kill 10% of the animals that come in for behavior, sickness, whatever it is. I mean, the live release rate, that's including sick. I mean, of course, everybody's got sick animals. There's going to be instances where there's behaviors that are beyond means that anybody has.
Right.
But like for space, a lot of shelters don't, because they're city funded, they're municipal, they cannot say no. Rescues can say no. I can say no. We don't have space. We don't have anywhere for the dog to go. City shelters can't. If you live in the city or you find a dog in the city and you want to take that dog to the shelter, they cannot tell you no.
Right.
So they run out of space. Now, as long as they release at least 90% back to their owners or get adopted or go to rescues, they can call themselves no kill, even though they killed 10% because they ran out of room.
Got it. But for you, you do everything in your power.
Right.
You do everything in your power. I mean, I follow you religiously on social media. If you're not following her, you should be. But you adopt across state lines. You'll find these dogs' homes, cats. Do you take anything besides dogs and cats? I've never asked you that.
I haven't, but I mean, I've
be careful because you're going to end up with a bunch of llamas or something.
I've tried to pick up a baby bobcat that was limping one time on the side of the road, you know, so it's not beyond me.
So there's the question of what's the oddest animal you've ever tried to rescue? The baby bobcat.
I have.
Yeah. It's so interesting to me, all the different things that you, just watching you on social media and following you and seeing that you will drive to other states to pick up animals or to adopt them into homes. When I went through my process, you came to the house with both. This is one of my favorite stories. You came to the house with both, and they were behaving differently than what they were at your house. Do you remember this? You were saying, oh, like Charlie is normally like not going to be around, and she was out and prancing.
Yeah.
And Gordon, who is the lover, which by the way, he is the lover in our house.
Yeah.
Everyone loves him. He wants to love on everybody. He's the sweetest cat ever. But he was kind of hiding. And I remember you said, and my husband was home because of course we wanted to make sure, both of us met them. And you said, well, which one would you like me to leave? And my husband laughed at you and said, oh, she's not splitting these two up. I mean, there's no way. So we kept them both and it was great. You checked in with me a lot, but you looked at the house. You were there. You wanted to make sure you were putting them in a good environment. And I think that's just so admirable that you can do that and that you do that. It's amazing.
I want to make sure it's good for everybody, not just them, but for the household as well. Make sure that everybody's happy and everybody gets along and everybody's content and in agreement with it, because it could be a great place for the dog, but that dog might not be a great place or might not be a great fit for that particular family.
Right.
You know, there's some dogs that are kid friendly that are great with Marley, but little Susie over here, this is her first dog. She's 3 years old. She doesn't know you're not supposed to pull the dog's tail, get in its
Right.
face. That's not necessarily a good home for that particular dog because that particular dog won't tolerate that.
Yeah. Wow. So you do such a diligent job of making sure that people get with the right animal and the animal's really safe where they are. What's the return rate that you get?
I'm trying to think. We've probably had 5 or 6.
Yeah, I don't think you get
Not a
very
whole
many.
lot.
And I noticed too, the ones that I've seen you get back, they get rehomed fairly quick. Like you've had pretty good luck getting them in another home.
Mhm. All of
Yeah.
our dogs are amazing. All of our cats are amazing, but just like humans, they've got their quirks. And you've got to be no dog is perfect.
Right.
And if you think there's a perfect dog out there, well, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Because there's no dog that's perfect.
No person's perfect either.
No.
We're not perfect either.
No, absolutely not. And you've got to be willing to, I tell people everything I know about these animals, everything I know about their behavior, anything I know about their background. Don't do this because they don't like this, like everything. People just don't listen.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just don't listen. And it's like they get a new dog. Hey, everybody, I just got a new dog. Come over and meet my new dog today. That dog doesn't even know where it's at yet.
Right.
Doesn't even trust you, and you want to bring a bunch of new people in. And I told you that dog doesn't, like, it's nervous. Why would you do
Right.
that? Why would you put that dog in that position?
Right. Yeah, I think people get so excited, but for me, like I like to send, I've already sent pictures of Buddy to everyone I know. Look at my new cat. Look at my new cat. Mostly because I don't want Ryan to like,
Turn around and say,
yeah,
never
turn
mind.
around and say, hey. So now that I've told all of our friends, he has no shot. No, he's really excited. He's really, really excited. We've never had one this little, so this is going to be really fun. And the viewers will be able to, tune in on social media and see all the fun things he's doing. He's so teeny tiny. So I will definitely be calling you for lots of tips and tricks on how to take care of such a little one. But I think, the amount of work that you do, the diligence up front, I think really pays off because I think people really get you find the right home and you get the right pet in the right place. And I think that's it. When you're dealing with maybe a city shelter, you're not getting that. You're getting people that walk through and pick one and, they may or may not bring it back. They may or may not keep it just because there's not that home visit, it's just kind of.
A lot of people, when they adopt from shelters, they don't know anything about the history. They don't even know if the dog really is dog friendly or not. And a lot of times they'll bring a dog straight home and introduce it immediately to their other dog. They might not introduce properly. That dog might be very dog friendly and their dog might be very dog friendly. But if the introductions are done incorrectly, it could be a problem.
Well, I learned yesterday we had someone here talking about training your animal. And I asked him, is it usually the pet or is it usually the person? And he kind of gave me the side eye and I said, you can answer. And he said, it's usually the people that, they don't follow through or they don't know the right procedure. Right. They don't know the right technique. And that's difficult.
Because they're impatient and they expect it to be what they want it to be immediately.
Right. So crazy. So I guess my question to you would be if you're somebody that's looking to get a pet and you want to rescue, because, for us here at Buddy, we are a big adopt, don't shop family. Most of us all found them on the street or went to a rescue like yours to get them. And so we feel very passionately about that. What are some of the questions you should ask when you're thinking about a breed or, if you want to get a dog, what are some of the questions you should ask yourself to make sure you're picking the right dog?
And just how much time are you willing to put into this dog? Have you researched if it is a breed-specific dog you're looking for? Have you researched that particular breed? Because there are a lot of full-bred dogs you can get from rescues as well. But like take a Malinois, for example. Everybody's like, oh, Malinois are so awesome because they see what they can do in videos. If you've never had a dog before, or you haven't looked into what Malinois are, let me tell you, I had 2 of them. They can be kooky.
Yeah.
They take a lot of mental and physical stimulations. Otherwise, if you can't do that for them, they will tear everything up. Huskies, They dig. They're escape artists, notorious. If they get bored, they're out of your yard in 5 seconds. They'll figure it out. You just really have to research. You have to make sure that you're willing to put in the time, that your family is willing to put in the time. Make sure you've got the money. You know how much money you're going to have to spend because dogs cost money, cats cost money. Monthly prevention, food. God forbid there's an emergency that they have to go to the vet for. Vets are not cheap.
Right.
I mean, you need to ask yourself if this is something you're really willing to put the time and effort into.
Yeah.
This is something you want because they're a family member. It's like your kid.
That's right. It's a lifetime commitment.
Right.
I completely agree with that. It's interesting. At one point you had, I don't remember when it was, but I think you had too many cats or you wanted to move some cats. And I said, hey, if I sponsor a few people, would that help? And you said no. Do you want to tell why?
I didn't
remember that?
want people just impulse adopting because, oh, it's free. It's just
Right.
like the shelters. I don't like when they do clear the shelter events where they give away dogs for free because then there's no reason to try. They bring the dog home and it goes to the bathroom on the carpet and they're like, oh, dog's not potty trained. Well, they didn't put any money into it to
Right.
get the dog.
There's
So
no
they're
skin
not
in the
going to, they can just take it right back and not have to worry about it. They didn't lose anything. So why put in the time? They'll just get another dog for free.
Right.
I don't believe, I mean, I'll even sometimes put our adoption fees low, but I want it to be something where they're committing to that animal. They know that it gives them a sense to want to try.
Right.
I paid $50, so let's give them a couple days and see if he adjusts. Because it always takes a couple days to a
Right.
couple months for dogs to fully adjust. Cats too. Sometimes cats won't even come out of hiding in a new place for 2 weeks.
I was messaging you like crazy because they were hiding for like 2 or 3 days. And I was like, Jen, I don't think they like it here. So what can I do? How can I make them like me?
Yeah.
But you said, just give them a little time and they'll be fine. And they were, now they run the house. You know, that's how that goes.
Yeah. And it's harder with cats because they can't go outside on leashes and car rides as often. So their socialization to new places and new people is a lot less than most dogs.
Right.
So it takes them a little longer. They're in a new place and they're like, oh my gosh, what is this? Because they've known one place the whole time.
Right. It's been so fun talking to you. Would you come back and let's really talk about like the rescue things? Would you be open to that?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for today.
Y'all,
Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been another great episode of Buddies Besties, and we're so happy that you're here. Remember, adopt, don't shop. We'll see you next time.